Here's why we all need to be really concerned about what just happened to Mahmoud, the Columbia student who was kidnapped by DHS over the weekend. First, here's some background. Students are almost always on the front lines of anti-authoritarian movements. And that's because higher education institutions are ultimately governments that mirror your local government, your federal government, etc. Because they mirror in composition, it means that they're prone to the same impulses of complicity. In 2023 and 2024, student encampments popped up at universities and colleges all over the country. And these were watershed moments, not only because of the contagious fire of consciousness that it lit throughout the entire country, and the world, I should say, but also because the response from university admin told us everything we needed to know about how we were going to get to this moment right here. When CUNY and Columbia, both in New York City, called in militarized police to remove the student encampments, we were seeing firsthand that the attacks on our First Amendment rights were coming from inside the house. So one could say that the seeds of authoritarianism were sown well before Trump took office for the second time. So for the last year and some change, universities have been the sites of some really violent repression. Consciousness and repression exist on a seesaw. Where there's increased consciousness, there will be increased repression. Trump and the Trump administration want to make an example of Mahmoud. And it's not just a warning to college students. If we agree that universities mimic the composition of governments, then you can see that the precedent for this moment was set in 2023. So 2023 told us that 2025 was coming. And 2025 is trying to tell us that something else is coming. And it's not just going to be the repression of student voices, even though students will, of course, remain on the front lines of any anti-authoritarian movement. This is a warning to all of us. These values that we understand to be core American values have always been at risk for pollution. They've always been vulnerable. And when ICE arrests a pro-Palestinian activist who was on the front line of Columbia's encampment work, a student activist with a green card, this should tell us everything we need to know about the nullification of the rule of law.